Spoiler warning for all runs of Deltarune and Undertale. If you haven't experienced those yet, do that first. Phew, with a 19-minute video and a Patreon, that should keep the internet busy for a while. Now I can focus on moving, and maybe by the time I'm settled I'll be nearing 1,000 subs and can resume video production. What? No way. Already? You actually did it. You actually made me a big shot. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, I am just blown away by how fast this is all happening. I never imagined I'd be getting this much support so quickly like this. I was kinda hoping to have something big to celebrate this milestone, but I mean, golly, this is all happening so fast. Like I can't even. What? What is this? What's happening? What? What? Your videos look mass-produced or auto-generated. Channels with a mindless content without commentary or narrative, templated or auto-generated content from content farms. Are you serious right now? My videos can't be monetized because they got flagged by YouTube bots for looking too similar and thus made by bots. What the f? 50% off. I'm trying to sell my heart-shaped object to a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they won't even pay me in peanuts. You ever have a soulless corporation refuse to buy your soul because their bot has decided you don't qualify as a person? So what now? My script is finished and recorded, and I was so excited to share it with you all, but if I make it, I'm just giving them more money and power, and besides, it's more Deltarune content, so it'll just make my channel look mass-produced if I use Deltarune footage. Maybe I should make a video about something else? No, there's no time. I'm moving and I have to submit my appeal video. I can't do both. Maybe I need to start a hashtag trend, like hashtag give me my peanuts? No, that won't work. I'm not big enough to pull something like that off. I don't even use Twitter. This isn't about me wanting money. This is about making a profit for a system that does this to people. Like I can't in good consciousness support this. I don't see a way around this. I should just give up. No. Listen, I know it's cliché, but this isn't me doing a bit. This is a problem I have in real life. I work for soulless corporations. I give it my all. I put everything I have into my work. And yet always my disabilities get in the way and I get fired or forced to quit for reasons out of my control. I can't not have medical problems. All I can do is keep finding workarounds and trying my hardest. Over the years it has cultivated this mindset that won't let me give up. I'll think I've given up and lay down on the floor feeling like garbage. But no matter how hard I try, I just keep thinking of different or alternative ways to approach the problem, like I can't just let it die. Maybe I'm just very susceptible to sunk cost fallacy. Maybe it's not healthy, but deep down in my soul, there really is a burning feeling that won't let me die. I may not have a recordable voice, but I swear to you, I will fight this thing as hard as I can. I'm going to submit an appeal. Wow. Same day. That was fast, and that's pretty vague. This was a bot too, wasn't it? Wow. You. Kia, that all you got? I beat Sans 6 times through sheer force of will for science. Now you think I'm just going to give up? Even if I can't get this overturned, I will keep making videos. Maybe I'll host them somewhere else. Maybe I'll start deliberately adding content to get it demonetized so they can't make a profit either. But I will finish what I started. You want to play with me? Well then, all I have to say to that is, let the games begin. We now return to your regularly scheduled content. So I was scrolling through Deltarune code over breakfast the other day, trying to wrap my frogget brain around a completely different mystery, when I saw something pretty weird. Unused, that's an odd file name, right? Like you planned from the beginning not to use this? What? So I opened it, and I remembered earlier I'd seen people discussing this, but the file looked different than I remembered. This one mentioned hearing something scratching. So I opened the original version of the survey program and discovered what many of you might have already discovered. Oh hey, the file did change. It's almost like it's telling a story, and it's not a story just for coders either. Spamton himself references this dialogue directly when you interact with him in his shop, which means this is probably going to come up more firmly in canon at some point. That's pretty wild, I thought. That means Toby expects us to share this stuff with casual players. And that surprised me because I remember back in Undertale's days, Toby had that creepy audio warning which he'd pinned to the top of the directory by naming it ABC123A. Listen.
Hello, have some respect and don't spoil the game.
It's impossible to have mysteries nowadays.
Because of nosy people like you.
Please keep all of this between us.
If you post it online, I won't make any more secrets.
No one will be impressed.
It will be your fault.
And he had a pretty unsettling message in text too, condemning anyone who shares the secrets as impatient and damaged, in a way that kind of reminds me of the genocide run, to be honest, this idea of having a perverted sentimentality. Of course, once Undertale blew up, it was inevitable that the files would be leaked online, and when they were, both files were changed in the next update. The audio was just endless strings of laughter. But the text message was even more unsettling because it appears to be written in the style of Kara, even starting with greetings. Look.
Greetings! You have made yourself completely clear. Understood. I, your humble servant, will follow you to the utmost.
The connections here are further strengthened by how he placed this. The variables which call it are labeled Demon A, B, and C, and if you do multiple genocide runs, Kara refers to themselves as the demon that comes when you call its name. In-game, Kara called us their partner, so it sounds like what Toby was communicating here was less of a defeated sigh and more of a challenge. Like, oh, you want to be bad? You want to play a game? Well, alright then, let the games begin. Thinking of it that way, a lot of things start to make sense. It explains why using the phone in the Dark World calls us back to that hacker-only inaccessible room in Undertale, as does the sound the bunker makes when sped up. This isn't a secret Easter egg for hackers. These two messages are meant to be brought together. Toby knows we're sharing different versions of his game and swapping codes and info with each other. And just as I was starting to wonder if there was even more code related to this story, McGus and Space Core of the Underminer Discord drew my attention to the unused fail-safe text. So, with Halloween coming up, I thought I'd make a quick, easy video examining some of the implications of this to tide you over while I pack. Why do I hear laughter echoing from across time? Wait, does that say 4,600 words? Oh no. Oh, we're not getting this done before Halloween, are we? Disclaimer. Once again, we're theory crafting Deltarune when only the first 2 chapters are out. Much of this will likely be wrong, but that's okay. This isn't a channel about always being right or winning arguments. Instead, let's have fun exploring what we can find, and the different ways we can fit the pieces together. So to begin with, let's start with that unused text. When Deltarune first came out, it read,
Where? Where am I? Hello? Anyone? Is anybody out there? Someone? Anyone? Can anyone hear me? It's dark. It's so dark here. Someone. Anyone. If you can hear me, say something. Please.
So right off the bat, this person sounds like they were in the Dark World. But what's even more fascinating is, it seems like they either got sent there around the same time we arrived, or at the very least, we're observing the results of their story from the beginning of their apparent imprisonment. Their statement that, it's dark, it's so dark here, also reminds me of Spamton. When he first gets his Neo form, he asks why it's still dark. So dark. With Chapter 2, we have a completely new set of text which reads,
No one can hear me, can they? I guess not. To be honest, I'm not even sure if I can hear myself. It's so quiet here. And yet, sometimes, I swear I hear something. Something like scratching?
Scratching is interesting. If we presume the source is something we as players can directly observe, the first obvious candidate is Spamton, as when you're talking to him he seems to suddenly channel or hear the voice of this desperate unknown person?
Can anyone hear me? Help!
He also seems to do this when he mentions the night as well. Look at the way he suddenly jumps and starts screaming, almost like he can hear them threatening him.
Chris, did you know that the night? No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Although, the text is lowercase, so he could be repeating what he's hearing someone else say here too. Maybe I'm reading too much into this and he just signed a non-disclosure agreement. Another possibility is the bunker. It makes sounds that are similar to the dark world, and we see these kids interacting with it. If our playthrough is occurring in lockstep with this mysterious person, then perhaps they heard these kids talking near the door, or perhaps Susie when she kicks the door. But to me, the real fun question is, what if this character is out of bounds? The speech is in the code itself, but it's unused, just like an object that's waiting in the empty space forever, never to be called. Not only that, but there appears to be more in some of the unused error handlers. To begin with, we have object interactable solid and object readable. Both are meant to act as parent objects in the game's code. To explain what that is, imagine we have the loaded disk, right? The broken down machine in the basement is like a parent object. It has all these qualities like, can fly, and is big. And then when we load it with Spampton, he's still himself, but he also takes on all the qualities and attributes of the new parent body, and he overwrites parts of it with his own data, like his personality and dialogue, in return. In that sense, you could say the mannequin is also a parent object that Spampton really doesn't want to be assigned to. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, if we examine either of these two parent objects, when there's nothing else assigned to them, they say,
Can you see me?
Almost like there's a person trapped in that empty vessel. There's a similar case in this line, Object Readable Room 1. It prints the descriptions for various items and objects, but if the room ID isn't assigned, it says, suddenly, your body seizes up. What are you looking at? That sounds to me like you saw something unsettling. A similar sort of thing is scripted to happen if you examine an item with an invalid ID. In the light world, it will say, your eyesight became blurry. And if the ID is 0, it will say, your heartbeat quickened. The dark world has some too. The invalid ID there says, it could not be. An ID of 0 reads, an emptiness filled your hands. There's some unimplemented code in Script Talk Room that has a similar vibe. It would have been used for a talk feature, and using it on an invalid target would have printed, your voice echoes aimlessly, which sounds very much like our friend trapped in the void here. A lot of these creepy unused messages got harder to call between chapters 1 and 2, as the update provided the game with additional, more readily called error code for most of these. This door, for instance, has this line of code here specifically to lock it after you leave. But it doesn't ever actually call it. It's a redundant line, and the actual line is called from the aforementioned Object Readable Room 1. It sort of reminds me of Gunner Kid when he says,
Have you ever thought about a world where everything is exactly the same, except you don't exist? Everything functions perfectly without you. The thought terrifies me.
That's kind of how most of this code ended up, at least. It's still there, but you could subtract it without a problem, since there are proper error handlers that override them anyway. It seems like some of the code for Object Treasure Room also got rewritten elsewhere, like the door earlier. It reads, it won't open, but it looks like the nothing is there but paper scraps line is somewhere else now. Wait, is that what these are? Scraps of paper? Wait, hang on, I think that script is intended for this room. Phew, scared me for a second there. Next we have the code object NPC sign, which gives us a line that reads, you can't read these symbols. Or maybe it's the handwriting, oh crap, not again. Okay, but it could also be a reference to Sans blueprints, or to the aforementioned scratching sound. Like maybe something carved these symbols, or maybe they aren't written words at all but just scratch marks. By far the 3 creepiest bits of unused code are these 3 right here. Once again, they'd be called in an invalid room, from Object NPC Facing, Object NPC Room, and Object NPC Room Animated. Together they read, is that a cut on your face, or part of your eye? The gash weaves down as if you cry, the pain itself is reason why. Gash on your eye. Oh no, he's back. Okay, but hear me out. These are all using proper upper and lower casing in English, and utilize all three writing systems in Japanese. The voice in the intro uses katakana and kanji almost exclusively in Japanese, and the wingding is in Romanjian as well. So while these might be about Gaster, they probably aren't being directly said by Gaster. Does that make sense? Actually, while I'm at this, the "Can anyone hear me" by Spamton is also using the mix of all three characters, and the "I'm sorry" is all katakana. Also in the probably Gaster neighborhood, there's actually some error handler in the character creator segment that's pretty interesting too. For some reason it calls an egg if it bugs out when setting the type variable. It can also just starts printing a list of foods. Weird. Actually, that kind of reminds me of how the man who gives you the egg in Chapter 2 appears to be just off-screen, in the normally inaccessible black space. That said, despite the many allusions to goners and things functioning fine without you, there's actually only one NPC I know of that uses code like this, or uses interactable solid as a base, and that's Toriel. Object NPC Toriel. Her unused dialogue would be,
"Hello there. How are you doing on this fine day?"
I don't know why I find that unsettling. I guess it reminds me of the weird phantom versions of your family in Magus' castle. For all this talk of redundant unnecessary error handling, I can kind of understand Toby's paranoia. I mean, I was around in the missing no is the poke egg out days, and let me tell you, the last thing we need is a player finding a way to call forth random garbage data, and causing people to mistake it for real intentional code. Oh no. Part 2, here we go again. Gosh darn it, Missingno, I haven't made a Pokemon video in years. How do you keep ending up here? Alrighty, before we delve into this, I'm going to need some more warnings, aren't I? Warning 3. I'm about to get a bit critical about parts of someone else's video. If you find yourself thinking about harassing them, leaving them angry comments, or flagging their channel, don't. Please don't. Just don't spread hate in general. Leave them a like, a positive comment, or hey, why not subscribe? They found a cool thing for us. Can we all just enjoy the cool thing together? Yes. Awesome. It would appear, Kess Magic found a way to recruit Spamton without significantly altering the game's code. Is it real? How did they do it? Well, it says all we need to do is get to the fight with either Ralsei or Noel, and then beat him up until he's tired. So alright, we're going to add Ralsei to our party. Wait, isn't the game going to remove someone from my party the moment I trigger this cutscene? Mech, we'll just add extras. I'm sure this will be fine. Oh I guess we need Chris, don't we? Okay, 2 Ralseis and a Chris then. Hey buddy. I brought you some friends, any chance you'll give us a discount? Okay now. We use Pacify and... Oh hey, it actually did recruit him. Oh. Oh no. We summoned a demon. Damn it, Bill. It looks like now that the fight is over, the game wants to play the cutscene, but it can't, because Spamton isn't here anymore. Oops. Okay, so, not without some kind of hacking tools. If we had debug mode, maybe we could just use the room shifting feature to just sorta back out of the fight the moment we pacify him? I've never run debug tools on Deltarune before, so obviously we're going to just run those blindly with no prep whatsoever at 3 AM. Alright. Ready. Freddy. Go go go. Did we do it? Right, we're going to save and back out of debug, because this feels very unstable. Alright, looking at the recruit data and oh... Is it? Because this is where we fought Birdly? Nope. It looks like what's happening here is, every time you open the menu it picks a random sprite, and plays it with its animations. So if you wanted to troll people you could do this, and then just keep randomizing until you get one with Spamton in it. But hey, look on the bright side, we finally found a way to recruit Pippies. What's cool is, you can see the game's unused sprites, actual honest-to-God background sprites for maps, and is that a heart-shaped object? This is way too much fun. I could seriously just sit here and do this all day. You don't even need to hack your game to do this with me either. I can just pass you the save file and literally everything is normal, except for this. Just gonna add that from my Patreons to download. Ahahaha. Okay, but what's actually happening here, right? Like, what is this text? Why did this happen? If I head back to the alleyway, is he gone? Or, nope, he's still there. It looks like if we spare him again it won't give us the recruited text again, because he's already been recruited. Darn. So, examining the code, it seems what's happening here is, Toby does have an error handler for invalid recruits. Anytime the enemy ID doesn't match one of the pre-specified cases, it will set the recruit name to known quantity, plus the enemy's ID. If we look in the monster setup code, we can see that Spampton's ID is 49, so that checks out. The description will always be, it is known, and then all the other data is just left blank. So then, if we found a way to recruit another enemy without any recruit data, we could hypothetically get known quantity 0, or known quantity 9, or what have. If you want to see what that would look like, Secreme already ran through the options and listed all the possibilities in their video, so I'll link it down below. But this begs the question, are there any other enemies we can do this with? Could we recruit Spampton Neo, or the Sweet Cupcakes? I mean, it's worth a shot. Rawlsy, do you have to? No, you know what, it's fine. Alright, so, it looks like he will never enter the tired state, no matter how much we smack him around. Eyeballing the code with all of the coding prowess of your average land-based toad, I believe certain enemies are immune to ever becoming tired, and this includes Spampton Neo, Queen, Birdly, all of the Sweet Cupcakes, and Rules Card. I don't see Pippies here though. If I use the tension bit and have no LU size shock, would that be enough to weaken them for pacify in one turn? Nope. Oh wow, that freeze animation glitches it so hard, it stays on screen even in the next battle, that's wild. Does it still say it's frozen? Yes. Hitbox is weird though. Now that I think about it, it's odd that Toby actually assigned Spampton's recruit sprite this way, given that it bugs anyway. But the only question that leaves is why the sprite breaks. I can see right here that Toby left a perfectly good sprite in the error handler for the sprite info, so why doesn't it play? Maybe it got bugged up somewhere further down the, oh, if sprite was set to this, sprite equals random. You did this on purpose. Didn't you, Toby? Welp. What do you guys think? Is Toby just trolling us as a form of karmic retribution? Is Deltarune some kind of elaborate AR game that will require the hacking community to unravel? Did you find a fun creepy line I missed in the code? Let me know down in the comments. The positivity down there always blows me away, and I love seeing all the things you guys pick up on that I missed. Special thanks to my friends Sylvia and Joe for lending me their voices. We figured this was a good opportunity to try that out without diving in whole hog, so let us know what you think. Now on to channel news. We're making one final attempt to play by YouTube's rules. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be uploading a ton of random little videos using a webcam, so the bot sees a bunch of actual in-person footage on my channel instead of just screen caps. This should hopefully give me eligibility to reapply for monetization without it looking auto-generated. If you've seen new NES on NES, think of that, but with less budget, people and quality. I'm going to try to make said videos entertaining and related to the channel theme when possible, but if it's not your cup of tea, I understand. It's only for a few weeks, so don't panic. Patreon supporters will not be charged for these, since I won't be counting them as major videos. If that doesn't work, I might switch platforms, or I might, well, let's not ruin the surprise. Aside from that, you might be wondering what can I do to help? Well, let's see. Personally, I don't know how to start a hashtag trend or spread public awareness, but maybe some of you do? This isn't just about me here. YouTube should not be allowed to make money on channels that are arbitrarily demonetized like this. Like that should be criminal. If I were better at community building, I'd suggest forming some sort of YouTube union, because we really do have a lot of power when we stand together, which is why they try to break our determination by convincing us we're powerless. Regarding my small random videos, you could also help by opening them in a new tab and letting them play, even if they might not be your cup of tea, just to help convince the bot of my humanity. Obviously, if you can't afford it, even $1 donations really do go a long way to help. Like, I actually have several tiers at the $1 mark specifically for that purpose. That said, I completely understand if you can't afford to. You guys seriously have no idea how much even just the positive and fun comments you leave help me out. It's like every time I log on I get all these messages going, "You can do it," and that's so powerful you don't even know. That said, if you have any other ideas on this, do feel free to leave them down below. Happy belated Halloween! And brace yourself for the month of weird.